Hello. This was the last week that I had my sister staying with us, and it was so wonderful. This is why I put this video out a little bit later. I just wanted to spend extra time with her. It was her birthday, so I was cooking lots of things and trying to make her feel special, because she's made me feel so incredible these last weeks. As many of you know who have a sibling with whom you're very close, it's a relationship like no other. You can be totally yourself. I just cherish the days that we're together. We get up early and we go for long walks with Gianfranco. We have long walks again at sunset, and then she just sits and talks to me as I cook dinner. And cooking is my love language, and I love coming up with different meals to make her for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then as many of you will probably know, if you have a sister or brother with whom you're very close, it's such a unique relationship. It's that person with whom you can be totally honest, and usually you have exactly the same sense of humor. There's no judgment, there's no competition, there's no envy. We just are genuinely happy for each other and genuinely concerned for each other in times that are more difficult. And the neighbors here were watching us when we said goodbye, because we were both just bawling, just sobbing. I mean, we always sob in my family at train stations, at airports, whenever we say goodbye. Even if we know we're going to see each other next month, we're very emotional and we're very sentimental, I think. Sometimes you're just crying happy tears because you're so grateful for all the beautiful moments that you have shared. So that was part of the week. We went and visited a friend who lives down in a little seaside village in the south of Tuscany, and every town pretty much in Italy has a patron saint, and then on the day that they celebrate that patron saint, there's this beautiful procession and the whole town gets involved, and they start at the church and the little bambini of the town get all dressed up and join the procession, and there's a marching band, and then usually they then go weave all the way through the town, and everyone comes out of their house or their balcony to look out and see and cheer and everything. And then in this case they ended by the sea on a boat, and then the priest and all the mayor and everyone all climb aboard, and then they had this beautiful firework display over the sea, with a full moon in this case as well. I love these moments. I love these little events, because I look around and I was just looking at the palazzi and the sea and this cliff and the priest and the marching band, and just thinking, really, in 100 years or 200 years, this would not have changed much. Of course, there were some people with their prams and their mobile phones and everything, but basically There are so many times in my life here in Italy where I look around and think, is it 2023? Is it, or is it 1950? Is it? There are so many rituals that the Italians they maintain and that they protect and they celebrate exactly as they would have hundreds of years ago. We hosted a lunch party for which I picked all these wild flowers and the roses from our garden and made a strawberry cheesecake. This week, Guido and I went to explore this property which belonged to Guido's great-grandmother, and it wasn't her primary residence, but it was a residence that belonged to her, and it has been locked up for, I don't know, maybe since the 60s. And we went there with a surveyor just to see what works have to be done in order to renovate it, to potentially sell it. It was just incredible because it's both incredible and sad. I mean, you see these rooms that are just frozen in time and no one has lived in them. In fact, we went inside and every room had these ornate frescoes, and the surveyor said to me, she said, these frescoes have been beautifully preserved because nobody has opened the windows in decades, and therefore the sunlight is what destroys a lot of the frescoes, and so they've remained perfectly intact. Although on the walls I could see like a lot of the walls were decorated in silk, which is beautiful, but it's all torn and faded and coming off. And I don't know if any of you remember that piece that I did on Palazzo Sergardi in Siena, and remember he was just saying how time-consuming and costly it is to restore things to their original state. I mean, if you were to sort of get the original silk, and if you were to sort of get people who can come in and retouch the frescoes, it just costs so much. I was not appropriately dressed, that's for sure, because we were actually on our way to a baptism of a friend's baby, and that was nearby, and I was dressed in these very tailored, flowing cream pants with stiletto heels that were the highest that I have, and then I found myself holding Gianfranco and walking through this decaying palazzo with parts of the ceiling were falling down, and then I happened to have my camera, and so when I was filming, Guido was holding Gianfranco, and then when we're walking through these rooms which are just frozen in time, they're incredible. I mean, there's the most beautiful antique furniture, and I was just longing to see it with light, but we couldn't open up any of the shutters because they were so decrepit that they would have fallen apart basically, and there's no electricity.
Però piccolo Gianfranchino non lo vede, gli fa piacere. Qui è tutto a posto perché qui siamo nel tetto del condominio, quindi. Ma qui non c'è nessuno che gli interessa sta pacchetto, com'è possibile?
Allora, io via che mi capitano il
ma voglio riportare via tutti loro, no?
Sì.
Non so neanche se vede già il problema, è il solito problema.
We just had to sort of go with a torch and look around. I could have just stayed for hours just exploring every room, because every room was sort of like a time machine. I mean, you just find, for example, newspapers from Florence, 1966, I think it was, and then there's this furniture, there's remnants of a life. Who knows? I don't know. I mean, even Guido doesn't know, but exactly who was living there, I suppose he could look into it and ask his cousins, his family. But for me, it's just fascinating.
non lo date a nessuno.
E non ho capito, sai, magari sono state da altre parti. Che dalla falegnameria si arriva fino a dove?
No, dalla
Qui c'è sta
falegnameria.
anche gatto. Non smetterà di piovere, eh?
Sì, ora,
quest'estate bisogna risolvere.
quando viene questo
Quindi bisogna sistemare quella
ora
parte.
vedi questo e invece ora si è aperto, vedi? Questo qui.
Dopo vedi se ti dice no, non ci vado perché va in giugno una cosa, ovvio gli va fatto vedere prima. Te sotto dei Cristi e
Buonanotte, però.
questo è bello.
Sì.
Qui c'è un po' di gatto, però mettiamo del calcio. Quella ma qui c'è una piattaia, guarda.
No, davvero?
Sì, vedi anche una sulla mia, Vedi, siamo sotto strada qua.
Sì.
Qua c'è ci teneva dell'olio.
Ci sono sempre gli chiocci.
Ma no.
E allora però chiamo Luca. Scusa, ma
C'era anche qualcun qui.
eccolo. Questo mi ha fatto.
I said to Guido, let's go back with a vacuum cleaner, a mop, a bucket, just all of these cleaning products and a van to sort of really take away all the rubbish, clean it up. I mean, imagine what the floors are like. Who knows? I mean, there might be a beautiful sort of marble, or they could be a terracotta, or they could, whatever, who knows? Because there were these thick rugs and then there was all this sort of rubbish on the ground. And I just, wow, I can't even imagine how beautiful they would be if you allowed natural light in, if you opened up all the windows and cleaned everything up and cleared up all the broken furniture, and it would be the most amazing before and after, because the frescoes are all intact and the rooms have these high ceilings, and I wonder, I mean, they did have shutters on it in every room, so if you let light into the rooms, oh my goodness, I think there would be so much more to discover. And you can imagine how wonderful it would be to just do a whole makeover and restore it, not to its former glory, because I think that would be very expensive to sort of repair, particularly the walls. But even underneath the silk, I mean, there must be, I mean, I think the foundations of the palazzo are solid, although there was a section of the roof that was caving in. But it was just so interesting to go around, and I'm sorry that I didn't get the best footage, but it was just a bit difficult because there was no light and I had to sort of try and hold the torch and the camera at the same time. And then we were sort of also there Guido was there basically to speak with the surveyor about any damage that's been done and what they could do to repair it, what the family could do to well, not renovate, but I suppose restore, really.
Strada. Questo da dove è venuto? Niente, da tutte
Come
parti.
farsi
Questo c'è stato buttato da qualche delinquente.
Ma come ha fatto a buttare?
Ma se vuoi tengo
qui c'è
il
stato-
bambino, potete andare.
Sì.
At a certain point, we were walking through what's like a workshop or bottega, and then there are these sort of eerie steps that went down even further. We were already below ground, and it went down even further to a cellar. And Guido said it was incredible down there, but I chose I thought, this looks a bit unsafe, just because there was so little light and someone could have tripped. So I stayed up with Gianfranco, and it was in this room that was just pitch black. With all these strange objects around, and I could barely see. Like, I sort of shined my phone a bit around to see what was around me, and I was just holding Gianfranco in the dark. The surveyor and Guido went down into this cellar that went, I mean, there was like a tunnel underneath the palazzo that went on and on. So they went down to explore that, and I was there in this room in the dark. And then Gianfranco got hungry, so I suddenly just started undressing and then breastfeeding him standing up in this room in the dark, just thinking, I wonder what's around me. I could see like this like old rocking horse in the corner, and I mean, it was a huge room, so it was sort of quite well, I wasn't scared, but I would just say it was just quite it was an unusual place to breastfeed standing up, just standing there and thinking, I wonder who had been in that room before me, and if they ever imagined that in 2023 a woman would be there breastfeeding her baby. But there must have been a child there, because who was that rocking horse for? We went on to the baptism afterwards, and I wish I could have filmed it. I didn't, because out of respect to the parents and the children, obviously, but I have to say that there's certain Italians that just dress their children like little dolls. It's incredible. You see this scene of these children running across in front of a villa, and they just look like they're out of a painting. I mean, the boys are in little knee-high socks and linen trousers and perfect little shoes, and the little jackets, and the girls are with ribbons and these beautiful velvet or linen dresses, and they just look incredible. I mean, you actually, it seems like a scene from another time, and I think this as well is in certain groups of society in Italy. They are definitely just following these traditions, even in terms of their dress. They don't follow the trends. They dress as they always have, as their parents dressed, as their grandparents dressed, and very little has changed. And I have to say, I kind of like that. I love that classic sartorial tradition of dressing children. I mean, they were still playing around. They were still kicking a soccer ball, and the girls are kicking soccer balls and running like crazy. And people are going to say, oh, you shouldn't pay attention to what children wear. They should just be kids. But look, I mean, the kids are still comfortable. They're still playing. They're still happy and running around in the garden joyfully. But the whole thing just feels like it's from another era. We went to a trattoria that serves the most wonderful antipasti, and I just filmed some of them for you because I thought perhaps you might be curious to know if you see these items on a menu, you know what they are. So for those of you who are studying Italian, I know many of you loved the Italian lesson last week, so here are a few dishes that you might encounter in Italy and that I absolutely, wholeheartedly suggest you try. Pecorino con marmellata di fichi, pecorino cheese with fig jam, olive marinate, marinated olives, prosciutto crudo, raw prosciutto, formaggio di capra, goat's cheese, bruschetta con aglio e olio d'oliva, toasted bread with garlic and olive oil, funghi sott'olio, marinated mushrooms, salami di cinghiale, wild boar salami, carciofi marinati, marinated artichokes, crostini toscani, which is pâté di fegatini di pollo, which is chicken liver, crostini con stracchino e salsiccia, cheese and a sausage, tortelli di patate al tartufo. Tortelli, they look like ravioli and they were filled with potato, which you'd think would just be very bland, but it was so full of flavor, and it's the perfect canvas for the truffle, which you really want to taste, and that is the star of this dish with butter. It's so yummy. My mouth is watering even just recording this voiceover. Then we had tagliolini al tartufo, which is, tagliolini is this pasta and tartufo again is truffle. Thank you so much for watching. A little bit of a short one this week, but I hope you still enjoyed it. Do give it a like and do subscribe if you want to. It makes me so happy. I see that I'm now at 273,000 subscribers, and thank you. If Are you one of those 273,000? If you are, I honestly thank you with all my heart. It's not always easy to film with this being a new mother, but I see your support, and it just really motivates me to try and make it all work. And I feel like I am now. And Gianfranco is still up with me so many times during the night, but it's so lovely to be able to share with you and be with him, and to be the possibility to work from home is certainly a blessing when you're a new parent. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you to my patrons, and I will see you next week. And yeah, let me know if you would like to see a total makeover of that palazzo. I would love to. Something about I just have this vision of like getting to the floors with a mop and seeing what we might reveal underneath all those decades of dirt and dust. So yes, let me know if you too are intrigued to see what it might look like with natural light and the windows open. Have a beautiful weekend, and I will see you alla prossima.